We are back. It is Extra Bases with Bristol and Booth. It has been a minute. It's been more than a minute. It's been 20 minutes. Would that be right, Jeremy? 20 minutes?
I mean, I guess in the vernacular of us not being in the same place at the same time. Yeah, it's been a minute.
It has been a long time. I was on the basketball beat covering the University of Houston and its run to the Final Four and the national championship game, which did not end in a national championship. But so I've been basketball guy for the past 3 to 4 weeks. And it's interesting, and I think you'll appreciate this, Jeremy. I was working alongside another member of the Tegna family in San Antonio. He was there covering Duke. He works for WFMY, our sister station in Greensboro, North Carolina. His name, Jaelen Gilkey.
Son of
You
Bernard
tell
Gilkey.
me. You tell me, Jeremy.
Son of Bernard Gilkey.
Son of Bernard Gilkey. Shout
That's
out, Jaelen. What
the
and
world.
so it was crazy because I mean, being the baseball guys, when I met Jaelen, it didn't really click, and then I said, "Oh, hey, Bernard, are you related to Bernard Gilkey?" It's my dad.
Yeah, I might know the guy. Yeah, I met him once or twice. That's weird. That's strange. Good
Yeah,
for him. Good for
yeah.
him.
No, it's he is a talented dude and working his way up, and I respect his path that he has taken thus far. And Dad, he told me, is still with the Cardinals organization. He's been a coach in the minor leagues
Shoot, that's probably been 20 years now, right? He's been there a little
since
bit.
since Bernard last played.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a while.
yeah. Well,
But for
good for him.
those who know Bernard Gilkey, he put up some numbers,
Oh,
man.
he's a good player. He's a good player back in was that the Langford outfield, right? It was Langford and Gilkey and Ron Gant was out there for a little bit, and um, was it Edmonds out there too? Was Edmonds out there in center field? Was that same time? Because Langford played left, and I want to say Edmonds played center, and then Gilkey might have played some right. That sound right to you?
Does a little bit.
And I think JD broke that up. JD Drew came up there and moved
This
right.
year he's going to be a roving coach. Last year he was in West Palm Beach, the Florida State League, and now he is a roving coach. He's going to, yeah, that's the title, roving coach. In this era of fancy titles,
We got it down. We don't have an offensive coordinator,
offensive coordinator, swing analyst.
running backs coach. I'm sorry, wrong sport.
So, 12 games in, what is your assessment thus far of the Houston Astros?
Um, there's a lot of season left.
Yep.
It's going to be I don't want to say I'm looking for the word because it's not going to be a juggernaut and it's not going to be terrible. It's going to be a very, I think, average ball club that has a chance to contend um, with, some guys play above what they usually do. They can get better than that. I don't think there's too much risk in the guys they have being below career average for themselves. I don't think those type of players are like that, the ones they have right now. Um, but I think some guys got to play really well for them to be who we want them to be, and that includes Pena. And I'm going to be on Pena forever because he's got to be a different guy if they're going to win. He just has to be, and that includes Diaz, who's going to have to really swing it this year. Um, and they're going to have to find some guys in the bullpen to really help because those guys can get burned out pretty quick. You got Blanco, who is in year two. You've got Brown, who's a legitimate starter, as you saw again today. You've got some guys who can throw the ball. Eric Getty's hurt. He's for me. I know that he's an enigma because he's either really really good or he's not, and he's been more really good than not. Right? He's just kind of an enigma. So I think that you have a very interesting rotation. You have some help on the way that guys probably fit back in the bullpen, and you're going to need the reinforcements in the pen. Relievers are volatile anyway, and if you have that, when guys score 6 runs, was it 6 runs today? 7-6, that Mariners won, right? So that means it was 6 runs
Correct.
from the Astros. So
We're
you score
taping
six
this on a Wednesday.
right. So if you score 6 in Seattle, you
Yeah.
probably want to win that game.
You should.
Yeah. And so
They didn't.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying they didn't.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to get some help somewhere.
It's interesting that you talk about burning the bullpen out or some sort of similar wording. Just this past week, Joe Espada has thrown Josh Hader twice for 2 innings. And that means he wasn't available on Wednesday, getaway day, and Brian Abreu did not have his best game. And now the Astros head home or head to their next stop. Is it home? I haven't even looked.
Yeah, no, it's here against the Angels.
Yes.
We'll go over and see Wash and Kyron Paris on Friday and Ray. We'll go see the crew, Jason Brown. You know, the Angels are coming to town. My guys are coming to town. So I'm gonna go see them on Friday. But you know, they're coming back. Angels are playing better than expected early. Games like today you gotta have. And you know, Hader twice for 2 innings and a guy that doesn't usually do that's unique. That's a unique scenario, right?
Well, he's okay with doing it now, apparently.
Yeah, but he doesn't usually do that. So doing
especially
it
this early.
Right. And so doing it back to back like that, or outings where it's 2 outings in a week that way is not common. And it's a situation where you're going to have guys like Abreu, who you were supposed to be lockdown type guys anyway, step up and finish the job. I mean, you know, you don't have Montero back there anymore, right? So you're going to have to pick up his slack, I guess. But you're going to have to pick up some, you know, it's a different bullpen. Neris isn't here anymore. He was already been released by Atlanta. You've got Presley in Chicago, and you've got Montero gone, and that lockdown pen we were used to seeing before is gone. It's Hader and Abreu. So you're going to have to go ahead and do your thing there.
Last time, or I should say the earliest, Josh Hader pitched 2 innings last year was April 30th. The year before, he didn't pitch 2 innings at all.
Yeah, that was the year I was ripping into him.
2023.
Right. I was ripping into him because I was like, he doesn't want the ball. And then we got back to the story that in Milwaukee, they kind of messed around with his money arbitration wise, and he gets to San Diego and he says, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to pitch in the 9th. Remember that whole scenario? And he gets to Houston. Now he's like, well, okay, it doesn't matter anymore. Now you guys are just going to pay me and run me out there. I'll throw whatever you want me to do. Right.
2022, he didn't throw 2 innings in an appearance at all the entire season.
That was World Series year. Is that correct?
Well, for the Astros.
That's what I mean. Yeah, they won, right?
Yeah, but yeah.
But
Hader wasn't here.
He was in San Diego.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I just find it very interesting that they're using him for 2 innings twice in 1 week at the beginning of April.
Was he here in 23?
No, 24.
So 24 and 25. And it was a 3-year deal? 5-year deal?
I believe so.
How long was the contract? Was it 3 or 5?
Thought it was 3. But I'm looking it up right now. But yeah, he hasn't thrown I'm sorry, 5 years, 95 million. Sorry, 5 years, everybody. Correction.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There's been a lot of 3-year deals around with this club, so I think I just simply got a bit confused.
I said 3 years too. I mean, it's.
Of course, I'm Mr. Basketball guy now, anyways. So this should be Hoops and Home Runs podcast.
I like that one, Hoops and Home Runs. Can we talk some basketball? As long as we don't talk about James Harden coming back to Houston, I'm good.
No, but while I was on the road, I was able to see the Wichita ballpark, the Wichita Wind Surge. That was the first and second rounds for Houston. And then next stop was Indianapolis, and I was able to walk around and see Indianapolis's ballpark. And I've already been to San Antonio's ballpark, so
Wichita, that is
Double-A
Twins.
Yes.
Yeah. Used to be
Royals.
Yeah, and it was independent in between there, right?
Well,
Correct?
yeah, and then go back into the day, it was the Wichita Arrows. They were a Reds farm team. The Wichita Wranglers, Padres, Roberto Alomar, Sandy Alomar, Andy Benes, Carlos Baerga. They came up through that group.
Yeah, that's a pretty good place.
In your days as a scout, you couldn't have a dog, right? Because you were never home.
That's correct. I could not have a dog.
For
It was
those of you
fun
who
all the
may have
time.
heard Bernie in the background a few moments ago, I was just it's difficult to have a dog.
Yeah, not this one. This one's good. He's good. I have two. Um, I have we'll just call it an Anatolian Shepherd for right now, who is a very strong, absolutely diesel dog. And then I've got
Hey, Bernie's back.
yeah, he's out there screaming at whatever's going on. For those of you that can't tell, because I know you watch, I'm taping from the house tonight. So, Jason, my schedules were a little bit askew, so we would
What did
line
you
up.
talk about on your other gig today?
I don't want. We're right. We're here. We are locked in here.
Well, no, because I've been Mr. Basketball guy. I figured I would ask.
um,
I
we
I would just steal what they were talking about.
Yeah,
So
we talked about the analysis of how they're using the hitters and the patient approach and some of that stuff. I mean, I will say this. I put it on Cintron, and I don't usually do that. I don't usually put stuff on Alex because hitting coaches in the big leagues have to understand their hitters more than guys in the minor leagues because guys are accomplished. And when it comes to a guy like Alvarez and Altuve, they don't need much. With Jordan, it might be a swing flaw somewhere. Altuve, it might be, uh, you know, I don't know because those guys have hit for so long, you kind of leave them alone. It's tighten up their swing, get into their program, and hey, what do you need for me to get you ready? And that's it. But where Cintron's approach needs to come into play is a guy like Diaz or a guy like Cam Smith, or how do I make Pena a better hitter? Or what about McCormick? Why is McCormick a fourth outfielder in a good year? And why can't Myers sniff hard contact? Things like those, he has to get into that type of phase as a coach. And I'm not putting it on Alex, but I kind of got to put on Alex a little bit because he's got to do that. And so if the organization says we are going to take an approach of being patient, we're going to take more pitches and we're going to walk, or we're going to try to get into deeper counts. Well, you got guys, and I was having lunch with Trinidad Hubbard today too, by the way. I had lunch with Hub, and Hub said to me, guys got to put away stuff sometimes. Like, what, you don't want to do that. You can't be in a situation, and for those of you that don't remember, Hub, was a big leaguer for about 10 years, and lives in Houston, was coordinator with the Rockies for a long time, and worked with me more than once, a couple times here. And anyway, bottom line is, Hub was using Randy Johnson as an example. Okay, and he was saying, I'm not taking pitches on Randy Johnson. I'm not waiting for that. I'm swinging at the fastball. I'm not waiting for that slider. I'm not working myself deep in any count whatsoever. I'm swinging early. And he was talking about Hicks the other night and the strikeouts they had against Jordan Hicks when we were getting into the game and into the breakdown. He's like, Jordan Hicks on 102 miles an hour. What are we taking for? It's a good point. It's a good point, right? So if you're going to go ahead and do that, then if you're Alex Cintron, you got to teach these guys how to work back the pitches you're going to hit and understand that if a guy like Pena has to swing early because he's getting a fastball, then the next guy might have to take him more pitches. That's how you move the line to make sure you accomplish the goal. I'm not saying Alex isn't doing that. But I'm saying if you have an organizational philosophy, you either have to get personnel to fit the philosophy or a coach understands how to implement it with who he has.
well, it appears for the most part they are sticking with guys in certain spots. So I've always felt when we look back at last year, a lot of the impatience was had something to do with guys not being comfortable in where they were hitting because they were being moved around all the time. For the most part, that hasn't really been a situation this year because guys have been pretty much in the same spots. I think there's a couple of exceptions. And also, we're only 12 games in. We're only 12 games in.
You don't have what's early, but what you don't have here, what you have here that you didn't have in the past, is you have a young lineup. This is a young lineup. Payne is 4 years in. It's 4 years, right? 22, 23, 24, 25. He's 4 years in, but he's not a guy that is going to repeat that first year. He needs to get as close to that as he can. Okay. You've got McCormick, who is not a young hitter, but certainly swings like he is at times. You've got Myers, who, again, I'm not a Jake Myers guy. I get it. He's a fifth outfielder, goes and gets the ball. But you have other guys up there like DeCenzo, gonna learn how to play here. You got Smith, gonna learn how to play here. Diaz is still a young hitter. He's gonna learn how to play here. And then you've got Walker and Paredes who have some experience, but don't understand this division yet, right? Or the league, or even how that's going to work. So there's a lot of coaching that has to be done to bring this team together. Whether or not, that how they go about doing that is going to be up to them. But that's what Alex's job is right now. It's bringing this team together under the philosophy and make sure they perform. Now, again, Alex was a pretty good player. Okay, so I'm not saying that he doesn't know what he's doing at all. He does. I like Alex a lot, actually, personally. So he just needs to take that step forward as that coach, and get that done.
17 strikeouts in the first 11 games prior to Wednesday for Christian Walker. Surprised? Concerned? I mean, he is a free swinger if you look. He's a career 249 hitter. He averages 146 strikeouts over 162 games.
Which is mild today. For a guy in that spot, 150 Ks in 162 games is fine. It's one a night. You're going to get one a night, right? And so he's going to have stretches where he's going to hit 330 and 8, in about a week and a half. That's what happens.
And they're also counting on him to save a few runs with his glove.
Yeah, but guys like that are power hitters, man, they go in streaks. We've talked about this forever. They have at bats that are not so good, and they have bats that are okay, and then they catch fire. And while that sounds like to people listening at home or watching at home, whichever you're doing, that's a common statement. It's really common with power hitters because of how you have to get through the baseball and how you have to get it in the air to do what you do well. And if you're playing a corner, you better drive the thing. So when it comes to what Christian Walker is going to do, yeah, he's going to swing and miss. Absolutely, he's going to swing and miss. They all do. Paredes is going to swing and miss a little bit too. Whether you guys know that or not, he's going to. He's a pull side type guy approach that in this part plays well, but he's going to swing and miss a little bit. So it's just going to happen. Cam Smith's going to swing and miss too, especially early.
Certainly some sad news out of the Dominican with the death of Octavio Dotel and Tony Blanco. Did you have any contact with either of them in your baseball career?
Yeah, Dotel a little bit. I mean, he's a few years older than me, not much, but Octavio Dotel is how I remember him with Chris Berman, right? I mean, back in the day, because we'd always get, he was in the big leagues for like everybody, Astros, A's. I think he was a White Sox, might have been a Yankee in there somewhere. I don't know if he's a Mariner. I don't know. He pitched everywhere. Twins, like he was all over the place. Mets.
Came up with the Mets, I think.
Yeah, Mets. So Mets, A's, let's see if we can do it.
Okay,
Mets,
I'm looking at it right here.
All right, Mets.
Yes.
Astros.
Yes.
A's.
Yes.
White Sox.
No.
Yankees.
Yes.
There's more in there.
You're doing really well. A lot better than I would have.
There's more in there. Hold on a minute. Seattle?
Nope. American League.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Toronto?
I assume this is correct, the order it's listed on Baseball Reference. No.
Okay.
Kansas City.
That's the one. Did he win a championship there? Was he on that team?
2007.
So that was way early. Okay. Am I missing anybody else? I had like 6 or 7 teams in my head.
From Kansas City, he goes to Atlanta. From Atlanta, he goes to the White Sox.
So I said White Sox.
Yeah, but you said it too early.
Okay. All right.
And then in 2010, he pitches for 3 teams. He pitches for the Pirates, the Dodgers, and the Rockies. Then in 11, at the age of 37, Blue Jays, Cardinals, and he ends his career with the Tigers at the age of 39 with Detroit in 2013.
I saw him pitch. Where was he in 2012?
Detroit.
I saw him in Detroit. Okay. And so he was one of the guys that I dated myself with because I'm following the Royals and the Yankees that year. All right. And that's the same year as Jeter's documentary, The Captain. And so when I had the Royals and I went into Detroit, and I think I was in Detroit for 6. I don't know how I got there for so long, but I saw Anibal Sanchez, Rick Porcello, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, David Price, and Doug Fister all pitch in 5 days. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how I got him in, but I did. And I had and the Royals were there, and I saw Octavio Dotel. I remember thinking to myself, okay, now I'm officially on the other side of this thing, right?
He was 38 years old at the time.
Yeah, so I was 35. So I remember being there going, okay, wait a minute. Now, but again, Octavio pitched everywhere. That sounds like 14 teams to me. Nowhere twice.
Um, how many teams here?
I got 14.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
13, yeah. So I mean, it's he pitched in almost half the league, and it was great. And he was a fun guy, and he was an interesting guy. Mike Cameron, Cammy, I think played with him in New York. Well, no, maybe not New York. Cammy played with him somewhere. Cammy and I were talking about it earlier, and it was he was a guy that got the ball, and it was a lot of fun. And then every night on the highlights, no matter what part of the country you're in, I feel like you heard, and Octavio, Dotel. It's
Big
just,
time strikeout pitcher
yeah,
as a
no,
starter when he came up. And even at the age of 38 for the Tigers, he goes 5-3, 3.57 ERA, pitches 57 games, finishes 15 of them, 62 strikeouts in 58 innings.
yeah, it's a guys like that leave a smile on your face, man. That's always tragic when they leave very young, in his life, and not too long off the field, to be honest, with how that looked.
But was developed as a starter, if I'm not mistaken, and then went to the bullpen basically when he got to Houston. He was a swing guy. In 2000, he pitched 50 games, started 16 and finished 25. He made 16 starts, Jeremy, and had 16 saves.
Yeah, most good relievers to come up as starters. Edwin
Yeah.
Diaz, well, he got to the big leagues as a reliever. When we drafted him in Seattle, he was a starter, right? And he was starter up to Double A. I remember Tommy Allison called me and said, "What do you do with Diaz?" And I said, "I think he's a reliever." And he goes, "I think so too." Right? But we drafted him as a starter and ran him out there. So you develop that feel for the fastball. You can develop some kind of command. Dotel got further with it than Diaz did, but that's how the good relievers were developed. They were starters through the minor leagues, and they made the adjustment.
I don't know how I've stumbled upon this, but a June 7th, 2011 write-up following the first round of the draft. Of course, Taylor Jungmann was the guy for the Brewers that year.
Yeah.
Bruce Side, amateur scouting director, talking about Jungmann. Jungmann has had a great career. He's pitched in some big games. Jeremy Booth, our scout in Texas, has been on Taylor for quite a while. Every time I talk to him, Jungmann's name always rung in my ear.
Accurate.
Yep.
Listen, we got time for a Taylor Jungmann story.
We have 8 minutes.
All right. So I got the area. It's my last year doing the area, actually, was 11. And I ended up signing Michael Reed, Jungmann, Michael Reed, and Chris McFarland that year. Okay. So I go out and it's I go to University of Texas. Cameron Rupp's up there, Kevin Keys is up there. They got a pretty good team, UT, right? And so I go in there to talk to Taylor, and Taylor's like, I think Chance Ruffin was still on that club. I think he was still there. Anyway, says to me, he goes, I said, "Hey, I need to meet. I'm picking 12. He's a guy I want to meet with." And he goes, "I mean, yeah, we'll meet, but I'm not going to be there when you guys pick." And I was like, "You sure about that? We want to have the conversation? Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm not going to be there." I said, "Okay, well, let's talk anyway." So it was very surface and topical, and wasn't going to take a whole lot of tests, and okay. Year goes on. I'm not missing much. I mean, I got Rendon in my area. He's not getting to us. I've got him. I've got some guys over at LSU. I had pretty good territory that year, right? Really good, pretty good area. And um, I go out and we get to the draft, and that draft, for those of you in 2011, That draft was Garrett Cole 1. I can do the first 15 picks off top of my head, so I'll do it this way. Garrett Cole 1, Danny Hultzen 2 to Seattle, Trevor Bauer 3, who ended up winning the Golden Spikes, story I'll get to in a second. Dylan Bundy 4. I want to say it was Starling 5 and Rendon 6.
That is correct.
Then it was Archie Bradley 7. It was Lindor 8, Baez 9, Corey Spangenberg 10, George Springer 11, and then we were on the clock and we took Jungmann. Okay. Now at 13, it was Brandon Nimmo. 14, it was Jose Fernandez. And 15, it was Jed Bradley, who we also took. At 16, it gets a little bit hazy, but I want to say Chris Reed from the Dodgers.
That is correct.
17, Sonny Gray was in that draft too. I want to say 18.
You went 18.
Yeah, 17 was, and I wanted Sonny bad. I did. I want to stake.
Dad was a long time. Dad is a long-time minor league manager. Drafted, well, as soon as I give you the team, you'll know exactly. At 17, it was the Angels.
Oh, CJ Cron.
Yep.
He went 17. 19, I want to say was Barnes. Matt Barnes.
Yep.
20, I don't remember him at that
Tyler
point.
Anderson.
Oh, the left-hander from Stanford. And then
Oregon.
Beatty was 21.
Yep.
Okay, and then whatever. After that, it kind of gets off the chain a little bit, you know. But point is, and Jackie Bradley was a comp pick that year, 38 maybe, somewhere in that range. So, in any event, you know, Matuk went 31. You got to get the point. It was one of those drafts as a scout and in the industry that comes along once every 10, 15 years, and like you just don't forget where he goes. In a normal year, someone who's a Dick Hauser Award winner, which is a excellent performance spot, someone who had a track record of getting guys out, someone who was 6'6", that could go up to 97, that pitched 93, that had the command and was doing it at University of Texas and was still going to sign and be a quick mover, which is what we thought, probably does go ahead of 12. But he wasn't going to go ahead of 12 there, okay? And so we kind of get down to the wire, and the bottom line is that, you know, they wanted, his agent was J.D. Smart. Remember J.D. Smart? His agent was J.D. Smart. And JD wanted, this is the last year of the Wild Wild West. And the Wild Wild West and scouting guys was no limits on what you could pay people. It was, let's go, let's going to get it. And everybody knew there was going to be a soft slot the next year. And we're going to go get this done. And agents knew it, and players knew it, and clubs knew it. And it was free for all, spend what you want to spend. Okay. So we go down that route with Taylor, and they decide that they want Aaron Crow money. Aaron Crow money, I think at the time was $5 or $6 mil. It wasn't going to happen. We're the Brewers. We're not paying it. We're not doing it. And Taylor never gave any indication because, you know, let JD do the talking what he wants to sign. Anyway, Bruce goes in there at like 1.7, maybe. And Bruce goes, I think I'm going to offer him 1.7. And I said, you ain't going to get him. And he goes, no, 1.7. I said, he's not signing for that. He goes, he wants Crow money. I said, I get he's not getting Crow money. I wouldn't give him Crow money either, but he's not 1.7 ain't gonna get it done. You have to get in the ballpark here. He's a 12th pick in the draft. Anyway, I argued with Bruce back and forth. At the time, I knew the number we were going to go to in the ballpark. It just really close, and we got him 2.5, 2.55. I want to say is what we signed him for, and they were
2.5,
and they were mad. Like JD and Taylor were mad that he got $2.5 million. I'm like, man, I got you $800,000 more than you were going to get. You're mad at me? You're mad at me? Okay. So I went to go sign the kid at his apartment in Austin before he went back home to where he was from. I want to say he was from Temple area, and he had to go back home
Temple, Texas.
Back there, and I'm sitting with JD, and he signs his contract, and he's like, hey, thanks, I'm looking forward to it. And looked at JD. I said, you still mad? You still mad? $800,000 more, bro. It's more of a check for you too. And he goes, I'll see you later, Jeremy. I said, bye, JD. So that was, you know, that's the Taylor story. He's I always liked Taylor. He couldn't stay healthy, and for some reason forgot where the ball was going when he got into the minor leagues. But pitched for 3 or 4 years in the big leagues, and then he went over to Japan, I want to say.
Love bringing up these old stories. All right, everybody, we're going to be in full baseball mode next time because, again, I've been on the basketball beat. So for Jeremy, I'm Jason. For Jeremy, I'm Jason, and as always, thanks for watching Extra Bases.